Here we go again. Today we're back with my Week 10 NFL picks. Firstly, I want to start off this video. I want to say rest in peace to Marshawn Kneeland, who sadly passed away this morning. He was 24. Sad shit. Hearts out to his family and the organization of Dallas Cowboys. So, without further ado, game one. We've got my team, the Denver Broncos, versus the Raiders. I got PS2 Bo Nix jersey behind me. Now, an interesting note, this was at 10.5 last week, and now it's dumped to 9.5 after the Raiders lost and the Broncos win in a game against Houston. Now, an interesting note in this one is Bill Vinovich is the referee for this one. And since 2016, divisional home teams are actually 24-31-1 against the spread with Vinovich in there. And he has probably one of the most infamous referee calls ever in 2019 in that Saints-Rams game where he didn't call the PI. And the Broncos with Sean Payton are 1-2 straight up and against the spread with Vinovich as the head referee. This is a good game for the under too. 32, 22, and 2. Yeah, with Vinovich since 2016. So, without further ado, let's get into my pick here. Now, I really want to say Denver. And if this spread was at 10.5, I would. But now that it dropped to 9.5, I think this game could be close. I do. I mean, Denver, we've seen it a couple times this year. And I know more than anybody how close they've played a couple teams. The Raiders is a team they should beat by, 2 scores, 3 scores, whatever. I think the Raiders spread is the pick here. I think Genty, Genty's a big factor. No PS2 leads to more zone coverage, where it leads to Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer having a lot more usage as well, which will open up the game for Genty. Now, this game really depends on Geno Smith and Bo Nix. If Bo Nix plays, like he did against Dallas, this game's going to end up, 3-score win. But, if he plays again and, played like he did against Houston, where he gets off to a slow start, they win the game, whatever, then, the Raiders are probably going to cover this one. But that O-line is terrible for Vegas. I'm going kind of with the historical, pick here. I don't like, picking against my own team, but I feel like this is that divisional game shit is just so inevitable. Now, on to Atlanta. Hopefully I can start better this week than I did last. Because we did go 11-4, I want to say, or something like that. Yeah, 11-4. Because we missed the first 4, and then we hit 10 straight, including, the Steelers on both money line and the spread. Now, this is a game overseas. They're playing, I believe, in Germany. I believe it's in Berlin. Now, the Colts are going to have a new player. They're going to have Sauce Gardner in that team. This spread has pretty much remained the same all week, which is kind of weird, considering, they added Sauce Gardner. And obviously, they're just the better team in general. They have the best record in football at the end of the day. I think the Colts will win this one, but Atlanta's defense is one of the best units there is, and I think they can make this one close. I like Atlanta's spread here. So I'm gonna say plus 6.5. That defense been really good. Ulbrich has called really good shit. Bijan, London, Pitts. You got chances on offense with Penix. It's kind of like the Pats game where, they played it really close. They still couldn't get it done. But Now they have a new kicker for the third time this year, so we'll see what happens there. So now on to the Pats and Bucks. This one sits at 2.5. You know, the Pats, of course, are 7-2. They have the tied best record in the AFC. No, the NFL. It would be the same, whatever, the same thing. But they are not favored for the first time since that Buffalo game in Week 4. Now, the Bucks, you know, they're off a bye. I don't think Bucky Irving's going to play. Godwin, not likely either. They didn't add anybody at the deadline, surprisingly, because I do think they really could have used, you know, a receiver. But I think this is, you know, this is the big test for Drake May against you know, another good team. So right now, I'd say Bucks straight up. I don't, you know, this spread could go either way. You know, the field goal. I think the Bucks straight up. I think they win this game. I think they're a playoff team. They're one of the better teams in the NFC. This is This is kind of new territory for May because he's had one game against, you know, a playoff caliber team. Moving on. Now we've got Buffalo and Miami. Now Buffalo has one of the best pass defenses in football. We saw this last week with Patrick Mahomes, where, you know, he kind of struggled to pass the ball. Their pass rush is good. I know they lost an edge rusher, Hecht. I believe he tore his Achilles, which is a brutal loss. But Miami is Miami's very dead in the water. I know this is a division game. This is similar, you know, to that Broncos one. I like Buffalo in this one. I do. That offense is too good. I mean, the Dolphins don't have the defense, like, at all. They traded away probably their best interior defensive lineman in Jalen Phillips. I know Bradley Chubb's there, but this is also a top 3 offensive line for the Bills, so yeah, that's my pick there. Now, this is a funny spread. You know, I wrote down Minnesota originally, then I switched to Baltimore, Minnesota again. But my final pick on this one is going to be Baltimore. Now, Baltimore, I just think's the better team at this given point. I like the Vikings defense, and I love J.J. McCarthy. I raved about him for the draft process. He's the guy I wanted the Broncos to take. He obviously went, you know, right before us. I think, you know, the Ravens still a top, you know, 7 team in the AFC. Vikings, you know, they're teetering, right? You know, they had all those weeks with Wentz. Ravens have a real chance to win the division. I think this is a game they will come out and win. I think they win by 10. So, yeah. Now, this is probably the most confusing spread I've ever seen in my life. 5.5 only. Panthers, Saints. Panthers are coming off a 13-point underdog win against Green Bay. The Saints just lost by 24. They just traded their second best receiver. I can't comprehend why this line's at 5.5. It's kind of similar to the Pats one last week, where it was like, oh, this seems so easy to just say, you know, Carolina. I'm not going to say New Orleans, but I'm wary of it. I'm going to say the Panthers, that defense is top 10. They have the run game. Rico Dowdle has been incredible. He's top 7 running back this season. Bryce Young has done his thing. I know he wasn't that good last week, but this is a good game for him to, you know, get back on it. Now, moving on. This, like the Baltimore one, kind of a hard one for me to predict. You know, I know the Bears are 1 game out of the playoffs, or half a game or something. But this just feels like such a trap game, even more than this one. Because this spread sits at 4-5, you know, I just don't think I understand that one. You know, the Giants' offense has been better. I know Scadaboo's hurt, Neighbors hurt. You know, they got all these internal problems. You know, they got their GM, you know, with a burner on fucking Twitter now. Um, the defense is good, and the problem with Bears, who, you know, maybe should have, maybe got a little lucky last week. You know, that pass defense, that run defense, it is just terrible right now. So yeah, that's just that one. I think the Giants make it a close game. They might win that game too. Not gonna call that one. Now this one's gonna be a little easier for me to call. I know BTJ is gonna be out. He didn't practice again today. Um, I just can't go against Jags. This is a top 10 defense for me. I know the Texas defense is top. You know, it's the best one, but Davis Mills playing for CJ Stroud is just not it. It's you know, it's not gonna score you 20 points. This is a game they lose. I know it's a division game. It gets weird, but you know, if Mills is gonna beat you, you don't deserve to make the playoffs. This is a good chance for the Jags to get to 6-3. Okay. Then we've got the Browns and Jets. So this one was weird for me too. Now the Browns seem really easy to just pick after, you know, the Jets did all that shit last week. I really want to take the Jets. I really would like to say the Jets because I feel like this is just one of those games the Jets just wins. But I'm going to go with the better defense. I'm going to go with the team that has, you know, the better running back here. Quinshon Judkins has been amazing this year. I know Gabriel is, you know, very mid, but when it comes down to it, you know, your defense is going to win you a game. The Browns' defense is top 5. It is elite. So, yeah. Now, another weird one. Now, the Cardinals and Seahawks. Now, this sits at 6.5, which is kind of weird, considering how good Seattle is. And, you know, they're at home. I know they've struggled at home. Maybe that plays into it. You know, Mike Macdonald has been one of the best coaches away from home there is, which is kind of strange, but I'm going to pick Arizona right now. I think Arizona's hot. I know Seattle's really good. You know, they get Shaheed this week too. That defense has been good. But I like Brissett in this game to make this close. The Cardinals really, like, their 5 losses are by like a combined 13 points. I think this is a good game. The offense looks a lot better with Brissett. That defense is a top 12 group, at least. They played really good against Dallas, and that's a top 5 offense. So, yeah. Detroit and Washington. Now, this one's kind of hard. You know, because you'd expect this line to be higher. And I really would have expected it to be 10-5 with Daniels rolled out. 7.5 just doesn't make any sense. But I'm gonna rock with Detroit. Washington looks dead in the water. They have no run game. They have no pass game. McLaurin's out. Debo's, you know, doing as much as he can. That offensive line's hopeless. The defense is hopeless. Give me the Lions by. I would say the Lions win by 2 TDs. So, yeah. Now the Rams and Niners. Now this is a weird one too. You know, I was very, you know, hesitant on this one. And my decision, I don't see. The issue is right now, I don't know who's gonna play quarterback. Again. Now, if Mac Jones plays, I'm gonna say the Niners cover and win. But if Purdy plays, the Rams cover. Now, that's just because I don't think Purdy's ready yet. Um, and this is a terrible game to get him back in. Mac's been pretty good with Purdy hurt. He's done his thing. He's really not looked Mac-like. But it's, again, another quarterback that goes to Shanahan's system and benefits from it and becomes good. Like, look at Darnold. Darnold rebuilt himself, and now he's back, making 100 million, right? Like, he's bound for another extension too. So, yep. The Niners defense is really good. I mean, this is a good defensive battle. This game probably goes under too. So, I'd feel pretty good about that one for San Fran. Steelers Chargers. Well, Steelers obviously off that Colts game. They're very pumped. Let's say. The Chargers just beat Tennessee by 7. They didn't play the greatest, but back at home, this is great. They've been much better at home this season. I'm just gonna go out and say, give me the Chargers. This is the better team. The Steelers just aren't it. The best pass defense really will struggle in this game. I expect Herbert to destroy them. I'd say he gets like 300 yards. So, I just don't think the Steelers can move the ball against this defense either. So, and then the last game of the week, Philadelphia versus Green Bay. So this sits at 2.5, but the money line's pretty close. Now, Green Bay just lost Kraft. Their defense is really good. Barkley should play. AJ Brown should play. I'm gonna say, give me the Eagles. Either way, I'd be fine taking them. I think this is a game they win. I think they're just the better team, and it's a good chance for them to gain ground on a team they're, almost tied with in the standings. So, yeah, let me know what y'all think about this and my picks. So I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.